Greetings, this is Dr. Mike Yuen. It's October 22nd, 2021, Friday, and welcome to the first weekly question and answer update on the Advanced Yang Tai Chi Corrections program. It's been 4 weeks since I've launched the program on YouTube, and I must say the response has been very welcoming. A lot of changes have occurred as this organic process has been allowed to play out. You may remember from the earlier videos that I had planned on a weekly question and answer, and that is only starting to happen now after week 4. Have needed to get 2 things in order. One is to get to know the first viewers and get your feedback. And the second, I've been having to work the infrastructure. The private Facebook page, I'm happy to announce, is completed and ready to go. But how it's going to be used is going to be different than what I initially thought it would be. In the previous videos, you may recall that the private Facebook page was going to be used for more in-depth discussion on the advanced Yang Tai Chi training. And based on advice I've been given since then, but also based on my own empirical experience, in order for the training that is going to be offered to get off on the right track, a certain degree of consciousness needs to be developed surrounding the mission. And I had even initially been against using the comments sections as that platform. I didn't feel it would be the right venue to support a dedicated inquiry into the subject matters that could actually change the consciousness, the perspective on Yang Tai Chi as a whole. But over these weeks, it's become clear, and I give you a lot of the credit, that the comment sections on my YouTube clips are actually the right venue, in that what's going to give this training the green light will be a certain degree of penetration into the mainstream consciousness surrounding Yang style Tai Chi Chuan. And that penetration has not been made yet. So we're going to use the comment section and the dialogue that seeks to reveal all the history and to reorganize the history, for you to share your experiences and your perspective, for me to share mine. I initially thought that the private Facebook page would be the platform to achieve this penetration into the mainstream idea of Yang Tai Chi. But there were 2 shortcomings to this approach that I've realized over the last 4 weeks. One is that it would only be for very privileged few who I would have these private discussions with, and I saw that that would be actually continuing the old way of transmission, because what is needed to penetrate is not just 1 or 2 special people to see the light, but for a lot of people to see the light, and for a lot of people to bear witness to conversations that we're having, so that en masse everyone could take the information and process it on their own. So the YouTube comments, which is public, I decided is actually the best venue. So that then leaves the private Facebook group to be used as a forum to discuss deeper aspects of training for those who are interested in the training or committed to wanting to do that. So I'm willing to use the YouTube comments as a place where we can really work out all the questions and we'll say first level discussion, which in this respect is going to involve really taking a hard look at, for example, the history of the Yang family transmission, which I think we've already been doing a good job in setting a foundation for. But then I think even to achieve this penetration, we need to go into uncharted territory. This might seem like advanced discussion, but given the method that I'm certain has the ability to transform your life and your view of Tai Chi Chuan and your practice of it to another level yet unimagined. But for this to happen, deep questions need to be addressed in the public forum. One that sticks out in my mind right now is the history of young Luchan and from where did he find the method that is very unique to the Yang method, because it doesn't make sense how his Yang style method is so different from the Chen style method that he purportedly learned from. Aside from just similarities in form, the basic premise of the internal power, which I've tried to convey in the previous videos, seems to come from such a markedly different source. And so, again, this may seem like it's advanced discussion, but from where we're coming from, it's the most basic discussion that everyone needs to consider from beginner to advanced. And it won't be difficult as long as you are willing to share in public discussion and to not be afraid of consequences, so to speak. In addition to the Yang Luchan matter, includes what the end attainment is of Tai Chi Chuan, and furthermore, whether it's within your capability of achieving it. And given the 21 insights and how I've seen people responding to them thus far in the research, I'm pretty certain that there could be tremendous satisfaction in terms of your own training and attainment. But we need to pull back on some very deeply ingrained assumptions about what is right, especially regarding Fantan Li and the idea that it's a matter of whether you can push someone or not that will be the gauge of correctness, and it is not. It's not whether you can push someone or not, or whether someone can't push you. That's hardly the entertainment. In episode 3, I'd mentioned about the Chinda, the seizing and grasping method of the Yang family, which takes it away from pushing. And secondly, you may want to review this, in episode 3, I discussed my observations of Yang Shouzhong's footwork. So this idea of fixing your feet and pushing hands and achievement gauged by you not being pushed off your feet is really another thing that we have to attack, another misconception of the practice that we need to ferociously attack, because of how deeply that value is entrenched all throughout the world, in the West as well as China. So all of this discussion needs to come out in the comments, in the public comments, and I highly encourage you, if it's not been your way to share your thoughts publicly, this is the time to make a change. This is the time to look at yourself as a viable contributor to the community simply because of your experience and the things that you've learned and heard and what you've compiled over your years of practice. That's why it's advanced. Advanced is simply means that these are the high-end ideas that you're going to be getting, and for you to be self-aware as to what's new is being introduced to you, how you're processing it. It's not about holding on to any type of face or image of achievement as a teacher or practitioner or loyalist to any style. I'm confident that as this penetration takes place, that it will then affect many other styles of Tai Chi Chuan. That will expose even more of the history. For example, that much of the new systems that came out in the 1800s that are attributed to Yang Luchan, correctly so, have the same root. A very highly underemphasized aspect of Yang Luchan's teaching. And I'd mentioned in the previous videos that Yang Luchan and Dong Haichuan of Bagua Chuan were contemporaries. They were born just about at the same time, at around 1800, and they both entered the palace in the mid-1800s and so forth. But there's more similarity. Dong Haichuan is known to have taught people based on their existing repertoires. So you've got the Qiang Tinghua, Yin Fu differentiation, the two main branches that came from Dong Haichuan. Yin Fu studying 13 years and Qiang Tinghua 2.5 or so, but based on each individual's brilliance, they came up with very different expressions of Bagua Chuan or Bagua Zhang. Well, lo and behold, exactly the same thing happened with Yang Luchan. He had a similar grasp of Tai Chi Chuan as Dong Haichuan did of Bagua Chuan, in that how he, in his encouragement as he trained these early students, for them to go out and create their own systems from the seed or the root system that he himself got. So this is changing our whole view of Yang Tai Chi Chuan as not a fixed entity, but as something that's very alive. And the brilliance which Yang Luchan needs to be acknowledged for was that he had grasped what we call the root system of Tai Chi Chuan, in the same way that Dong Haichuan had grasped the root system of Bagua. And only when you're like the conductor of an orchestra, where you know every instrument and how each is played and sounds, can you put together a composition involving all these instruments. So that's the level of command these two individuals had at this time. So here we are in the first weekly Friday installment. What I just presented have come as impressions from many of the discussions I've already had with many of you, and I'm again highly grateful for these new relationships that we're developing, and I will support you all the way, to the point where, and here's a little bit of a glimpse into the vision of the training, because it's going to have to be a worldwide phenomena, first of all, not just relegated to one country. Secondly, the training you receive has to be converted to monetization. It's a material world, and this idea of the scholar warrior not needing, not connecting a material living to their profession is sort of a delusion. I'm thinking of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and why Li Mubai was able to live the life that he did. Well, there's inherent wealth in his family that allowed him to do that. So if that's not your case, then why not get certified in this new way of advanced Yang Tai Chi corrections? Spread the word while making a living with it. So this is a full spectrum consideration. We're not stuck in any old box that virtue means you're not connected to money. In fact, I'm so indebted eternally to Mary Yang Shouzhong's second daughter, that a portion of what I earn from this training is going to be given to Mary so that she can further her end. My purpose is not just to make friends with one or two people and to go deep with them. That would be continuing with the old paradigm. It wouldn't be making use of the new consciousness. It wouldn't be making use of learning psychology, for example, of the blending of the cultures, of the new ways of education based on information technology. So that's what I have to share with you today in this first weekly question and answer. If there's anything I left out, if it sparked any further questions or comments by you, please leave them in the comments below and we'll take it from there. Okay, Dr. Mike, over and out, and we'll be in touch soon.